Back in a familiar place here on the Super Turbo, still getting to the bottom of some coolant issues. Basically I thought everything was done, and it just happens to be that when I was flushing the old system and cleaning it out and filling it with new concentrated coolant, that I got a bit lazy and left the jug, the clear jug, this one, I left this just laying under the car out of laziness. I came out a couple of days later, I was messing around, and it turns out there was some coolant in this. I was saying to myself that I didn't leave any coolant in it. It's just coincidence that where I left it under the car started to collect another leak in the system. I'm just going to show you guys where the leak is just now. So basically the problem we've been having is underneath the exhaust manifold there. So I've stripped off the alternator and anything kind of just in this way, the coolant pipe for the turbo. I've kind of got lucky that I've managed to get it out without taking the whole manifold and the turbo, everything off. But this is the problem here. This pipe here, which basically is carrying the coolant straight from the water pump down into the junction there in that area. I'm going to show you guys, basically there's a seal goes on there which is short, I will insert here. And that's been the issue. So today I've got some more new parts arrived, and I'll just go through them. That is the new seal there, so we're going to fit it on. And we've got some service items in there. I managed to get the correct size radiator cap. I have removed the radiator, I forgot to mention that. And we've got some ignition leads. I'm just going to change these out because I think it still did have a little misfire. And when I disconnected lead 1, there was no change in the engine. So I don't know if there's an issue there. I've just got ones just as a matter of throwing them in. But we're going to build this back up today and hopefully we can drive it. No joy. Stripped it back out and I'm just giving it a look. I have put the mirror down in there, and I know it's hard to see, but there's a sleeve here. Now what I think has maybe happened that when I've put the seal on, when I push it in, I can't go all the way to the other side of the sleeve because that is the entrance into the water pump. So I think the seal needs to stay within the sleeve. If I overshoot it, the seal pushes through and doesn't actually seal inside. If you imagine that this side here is the same as the inside, the seal's actually pushing out here and it's resting against it instead of being a seal inside it. So what I'm going to do is push the coolant pipe back in, but not all the way through, just like halfway or something like that, so as it seals within the sleeve and not outside the sleeve. And we will try that again. Another thing that's just happened, and I told myself not to do this, but it still happened. I have broke the drain plug inside the radiator, and I only tightened that by hand. I gave it a turn and then a nip and it snapped. I don't know if that's just me or whether it was a little bit brittle. I'm blaming myself, to be honest, because I've had it on and off a few times, and this time I feel as if I maybe went too far. So we're going to have to extract that and get another one in, which ain't going to be pretty. But, and that is, because there's a rubber washer there for that, so that is no longer sealing either. But we can build this back up first. just before we crank things back up again, I want to show you that I have decided to change the number 1 lead, because this one is having a weak ignition, and we can see that by the kind of carbon that's left around the spark plug. All other 3 are okay. Another thing I had, so I did have a spare, well, I bought a new set of leads for it. Another thing I had, which we were going to change but didn't because there was a problem and I couldn't remember what. We're going to change the rotor cap. Realised the problem is that the rotor arm is wrong. It's way too small, so it's really just when you've got the inside here, it's just not going to reach and make contact. So that's the wrong rotor arm. But I am going to go ahead and put this on. The reason why I'm thinking just firing this on anyway is because the rotor arm is managing to do every other one fine on the inside of this cap, because all other ones are firing fine, which means there must be some element of that that is running not too bad. Now it could be one of the points in here that has gone and it's not making good contact with a bit of corrosion or something. They don't look the worst, but obviously new is better. So we're going to fire this on, try it again. Just changing the HT lead alone isn't actually worked, because I ran the car up again and pulled the spark plug and we're fouling again slightly. Failing that, we're just going to take it around and see what it does. But I'm just going to attach this one and then we'll get going again. Apologies about the wind, guys. I've put the mic on to try and improve it. I just want to show you a little issue I had on the Super Turbo while I was working with it the other day. We were in, so we've got a kind of weak spark or a weak ignition in cylinder 1. Try to trace down the source of that. And one thing I did was I took the distributor cap off and inspected the little points on it. Dog's going crazy. So one thing I wanted to do was to check the points on the distributor cap, and we noticed that they were a little bit corrosive and we tried to rub them down. So what I did was we took the distributor cap off and I tried to put a new one on. I had ordered a new rotor arm and a new distributor cap for the car. Because of everything, the intercooler and all that in the way, I decided just to change the cap and leave the rotor as is, just for time saving at that point, to see if it corrected that issue. And what happened was, and this is one of the things I want to show you guys the mistakes I make, I put the distributor cap on, tried to start the car again and something went wrong. It's then I decided that the cap must be wrong, and I started to just buff up and file away the points to try and clean them up on the original distributor cap. But when I stripped it down, I've smashed the rotor. So something has went wrong in there. I don't know if it was the wrong distributor cap that went on or whatever. So I've had to bite the bullet now. I can't put the original cap back on, so we've just ordered another kit. Apparently this should be the right one this time, although I had it in good instruction that the last one was, and I've just ordered a kit, so these actually came as a pair. So I'm hoping that the two of these work. I did have a different rotor as well, but they came from different suppliers, and I think I've got too many jigsaw pieces, or there's been an installation problem, something's went wrong. Anyway, we're going to fit these. I have removed the old one. You'll see down in there I've stripped and access the distributor, so it's a screw that holds it on from the top there. So I'm going to rebuild this back up, put the cap on, hopefully that's fixed that, but I just want to show you guys my mistakes as well. I'm not trying to hide anything. So what I'm going to do is build this back up, and then hopefully we've resolved it and take it out for its first drive. Smoothest it's ran. So just to clarify, we've changed over the spark plug, so it started a lot sharper this time. It's actually idling a lot better as well. It's not quite as high as it normally would be. Right now we're just going to run it up. We need to let the system get pressurised, and we're going to need to get the thermostat open to make sure everything's running through the radiator, and we're fully pressurised, no leaks, and then after that should we bun it on and take it out on the road for the very first time. kind of nervous, well, very nervous. You guys can't see it, but the speedo is doing a little juttering about. No drastic, you can still see. Just remember that's in kilometres. There is some things still to go in the car. The intercooler guard, which does have an earth cable, and a few other pieces still need done. There's a bracket to go on the bottom as well, just it means arm hasn't put back on yet, but it shouldn't affect the first drive. So far it ran up, the coolant seems okay. Kind of want it during a quiet period, but we're going for it. Is your neck whipped back then, Michelle, with that boost?
Oh yeah.
It's when it's delivering the wee bit of boost. I don't know if it's delivering it. It's a bit. There's something not right. No, something's not right. Something's not right. Nah, it sounds terrible now. It just nosedived on me there. So just try to see the gauge. Michelle, can you come back? Just hang. Supercharger light is off, then it's engaging there. And then when I get to 3000 revs, the boost is going through the roof as well, Michelle, if you look at the gauge.
Yep, I've got all the gauges.
It seems like the boost is topping off when I get to 3000 revs, and it's just kind of nosediving on me. And if you just tick over here, just gentle without asking for the boost, seems to be pretty not bad. But there's an issue there somewhere. Now, I do want to emphasise that this is only just a short kind of pilot test, nothing more. It just dives. It's absolute hotbox in here. And if you just want to cruise, I don't know what's 60 kilometres in, I think it's 40. 50's 30, I know that. So 100 is 60. I'm at 80. It just dies down on you. There's something still amiss. Apart from that, the suspension is pretty good. The steering is heavy because it doesn't have power steering. I think there's something, we're not far away now. I mean, I could not assist to Danny for paint. I definitely could, but I kind of want it. If I have to take it to Danny first and fix it while it's here. See, if you do it just gentle like that, we're fine. It's when you ask it to go above the 3000 on boost, it just dives down on you. So my understanding is that we've got the supercharger and the turbocharger. So the supercharger takes it off acceleration and then it crosses over to the turbo at a certain point. So I will no crossing over. There is a crossover valve on these cars, which is down in all that mess that we've been many times. So there's a crossover valve. Could it be giving me trouble and it's no switching to allow the boost for the turbo? Is it a vacuum problem? Does it run off vacuum? But there's still an issue. See right now that I'm just driving it on 2000 revs and I'm just cruising along here, 80 kilometres, whatever that is. It's pretty not too bad, to be honest. It's a bit loud, it's 30, 33, nearly 34, or is it 34 now? So considering that, it's doing no too bad. I think this is a slight hiccup. I think obviously we've fixed the timing. This is the furthest I've ever driven this car, and I've had it 3 years, Michelle. 3 years, and that's it. I didn't talk to the wheels there. beg it back. Ah! This is the furthest I've ever driven it, so it's quite mad, it's quirky. I just need to fix, it's a small issue. I think we can get a crossover valve, or I maybe know where to get one if it is that, or it could be a vacuum. We're going to go back to the forum and see if we can fix this, but we're heading in the right direction. I mean, we're running for a start, with coolant, might I add. Any other time that I have used this car, well, we drove it, literally, I mean, it is 1 minute, if not 30-second drive from that house to the MOT station. And it sat idling on the MOT, and it was fine. But when I tried to drive it back up home, up the hill, it just wanted to die on you and cut out on you. The plugs were just fouling instantly, and those were brand new plugs, so they never even got 2 miles. It's getting some looks from passing by cars. Everybody's looking at it. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's putting a smile on my face. So has it been worth all this pain up until this point? You guys can judge that, but this small issue, because I think it's supposed to be a bit nippy, this, but to be honest, it's not really. It wouldn't pull your foreskin back, as they say, or I pull the bed covers off. I don't know. But we're going to put it back in, and we're going to hit the forum. We're also going to take the plugs back out and check the spark plugs, and just to check the ignition on the little car. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the pulsar into the super turbo space, and the reason I'm doing that is I installed it there, by the way. Oh, I've got a hand. Anytime you start it up, that alternator belt squeaks. And I'm going to move them round about, and that's because this is running better than the pulsar. So it's more than likely that this will be moving out. I'm going to adjust the thingies a wee bit. See, when you rev it on idle, it's fine, it's under load, that it's not going above. But it seems to be running pretty happy, pretty smooth. I love it with this steering wheel, this new steering wheel. We're nearly there, we're so nearly there on the Super Turbo, and then we're going to get the big stripped down paint job. That's going to be it for this episode, guys. We'll hit the forums and we'll get this resolved. We'll give you guys an update, show you what's happening with it, and then hopefully I'm going to message Danny, because I can drive it down to Danny in this condition. So if I have to take it to Danny and then strip it and fix a couple of bits down there, we can do that. But thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The Pulsar's coming soon. There's other things, there's loads happening on the channel, so like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit us up in the comments, and we'll see you in the next episode.